it's Natasha.
And Khalil.
We are the co-hosts of
Woke and Free.
Thank you for tuning in to our 161st episode of Woke and Free. If you've been tuning in every week for Woke and Free Wednesday, you know that Woke and Free is all about being real and honest with each other and you. We talk about everything and anything important to us, you, the world, and nothing is off the table. This week we are discussing who were the Black Panthers. But before we dive deep into the subject, it is your favorite time of the day, Tasha's monologue. So, without further ado, I'm just going to jump in. If you've downloaded this episode by going to WokeNFree.com and proceeding to the Podbean app, you deserve applause. That is fantastic. Why? Because that's how you show the ultimate support for the show, but then also that's how you join the conversation, because if you've downloaded the episode through the Podbean app, that's how you're able to put in your comments, and that's how you can share your thoughts. So whatever you think about the Black Panthers, whether you were a fan, whether you're not a fan, if you had questions, that's how you got to share it with us. So make sure you do that. Now, if you're like, Tosh, we love you, we adore you, awesome, right back at you, but you for some reason can't download an app, then all that we ask is that you make sure that you are supporting the show on whatever platform you're catching this on. So for instance, if you're all about iTunes, or if you're all on the TuneIn or Stitcher or Google Play, our YouTube channel, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Spotify, whichever platform I mentioned, and many more that you'll be able to find on the Listen tab at WokeNFree.com. Just make sure you go there and you're subscribed and following the show on those platforms. And of course, if you can give reviews, I usually talk about that at the end, but if you can give a review, 90 seconds, guys, 90 seconds, and you can give a review of the show on whichever platform or all the platforms that you catch a show on, that would be fantastic. Now, when it comes to sharing is always caring, absent COVID-19, racism, bigotry, sexism, discrimination. Must I say more? No, not really. Yeah. So make sure that you are a part of Woke and Free Nation by doing your part by catching the show every single Wednesday, Woke and Free Wednesday, but then also doing your part of the journey, guys, and sharing it, whether you just share it via email or you share it on social media, however you get the word out. When we like things, we share it, y'all. So you know what to do. Share. And now when it comes to social media, you can always find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok. Yes, TikTok, and Pinterest at Woke and Free. And guys, there's some fun content on there, so make sure that you are checking us out and you're engaging with us there. With that, scene end.
Each week we like to share a little bit about us before we dive into the topic for the episode. Last week we asked, which famous Kong do you prefer, Donkey Kong or King Kong? This week we're asking, time to shake off that stress. How would you rather relax, drinking chai tea or doing Tai Chi?
You think you're funny, huh?
That's not my joke. That's not mine.
Yeah, no one wants to claim that one, huh?
No. Well, I don't know who claims it.
Well, my answer to that interesting question is definitely tea, but I'm not going to do chai tea. I'm going to go for Jamaican mint tea or just regular peppermint tea. All
right. Regular peppermint tea? That's so regular. I think black tea is regular.
Yeah, peppermint tea.
All right.
Or spearmint tea, that's pretty good too.
No green tea for you.
I mean, not unless
that's
I'm trying to...
chai, like...
Well, if I'm trying to, kind of start a party in my stomach, sure.
Oh. Wow, all right.
But, yeah, no.
Okay, maybe you should do like me and probably try to learn Tai Chi. I think that would get your center all in order.
When have you started doing that?
I didn't start doing it, but it was a good thing to look into. Yeah, if I learned it, it would make me very centered as a being. So I think I need to look into that. So that's what I'm going to choose.
Yeah.
I'm going to choose Tai Chi, even though right now I do drink the tea. But I would like to do Tai Chi, not the chai.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Nice.
That'd be my preference. And I don't know what other preferences other people would have, like groups, would they want to be centered themselves if there were like big political organizations?
Like the Black Panthers?
Maybe, I don't know. Would that be a group that would want to center their holes?
Or how about just find out more about them, huh?
Well, maybe we should discuss them. Like, who were the Black Panthers?
Clever leading there. Very nice. Very nice, sir. So, according to history.com, there's quite a bit of information out there. And so let's try to get everyone on the same page. So they claim, or not claim, but they report that the Black Panthers, also known as Black Panther Party, was a political organization. It was founded in 1966 by Huey Newton and Bobby Seale to challenge police brutality against the African American community. They dressed in black berets and black leather jackets. The Black Panthers organized and armed citizen patrols of Oakland and other U.S. cities. And at its peak in 1968, the Black Panther Party had approximately or roughly 2,000 members. The organization later declined as a result of internal tensions, deadly shootouts, and FBI counterintelligence activities aimed at weakening the organization. Now, the reasoning behind the foundation of this organization by Huey Newton and Bobby Seale was when they met in 1961. They were students at Merritt College in Oakland, California. They both protested the college's Pioneer Day celebration, which honored the pioneers who came to California in the 1800s, but omitted the role of African Americans in settling the American West. Seale and Newton formed the Negro History Fact Group, which called on the school to offer classes in Black history.
Wow.
Then History.com goes on to say that they founded the Black Panthers in the wake of the assassination of Black nationalist Malcolm X. And after police in San Francisco shot and killed an unarmed Black teen named Matthew Johnson. Sounds like today's climate. Interesting. And then originally the Black Panther Party dubbed the Black Panther Party for self-defense. The organization was founded then in October 1966. And their early activities primarily involved monitoring, like I said earlier, like History.com said earlier, rather, police activities in the Black communities in Oakland and other cities. And then they grew. It wasn't just in California. They grew across the nation. They were in about 70 cities across the United States, which is pretty cool. And they also had this thing called the 10-point program, which called for an immediate end to police brutality, employment for African Americans, and land, housing, and justice for all. And then what else that I thought was interesting? The Black Panthers, the article goes on to say the Black Panthers often were portrayed as a gang. Their leadership saw the organization as a political party whose goal was getting more African Americans elected into political office. But by the early 1970s, FBI counterintelligence efforts and all of, the kind of internal unrest kind of broke the party apart. And yeah, there's more, I think, to share there, but that's kind of like a summary.
Okay, that's a good summary from that institution. I mean, it's not bad. It hits on some of the good stuff. So I think a really good book to read that goes against like the mainstream is this book called Black Against Empire, and it details the true history of the Black Panther Party and some of the turmoil that they went through. So people probably don't even know that the Black Panther Party was actually made up of a bunch of different parties. And I don't have the names right now offhand, but the book does mention all the parties that were going by different names and actually kind of grew into the Black Panther
Did you say
Party.
The name of the book?
The name of the book is Black Against Empire, yes.
Okay.
So, and then we have we'll have like the authors
the
and
link and all that stuff on WokeNFree.com.
Yeah. So you can see that there, but this is a good book to read because it'll really detail how it came to be and which parties came together to form the Black Panther Party as we know it today. And so unlike this is an excerpt from the book, like a little summary. It said, unlike the civil rights movement that called for full citizenship rights for blacks within the U.S., the Black Panther Party rejected the legitimacy of the U.S. government and positioned itself as part of a global struggle against American imperialism. In the face of intense repression, the party flourished, becoming the center of a revolutionary movement with powerful allies around the world, including China.
So that very much sounds symbolic of what we saw in Star Wars.
The rebels standing against the imperialist forces.
That's kind of eerily similar there. But
it's very
interesting.
It's similar, definitely.
Okay. What are things that people typically don't know or even maybe misconstrue about the Black Panther Party?
No, the thing that I never knew was that they started the first program dedicated to feeding underserved children, which sparked the government to start similar programs where they started giving out the free lunches to children. But that wasn't a government initiative. That came from the Black Panther Party. No one ever mentioned that to me while I was in school. Like, I've never heard anything of that.
Was new to me as well.
That was crazy to me. I didn't know Black Panthers did any social reform programs. I didn't know that. I just, that wasn't one of the things I knew. Then, well, like I mentioned earlier, there were multiple groups that called themselves the Black Panthers, but there were actually some that weren't even affiliated with the main group.
Classic.
So they would go on to do things that maybe people saw that was, kind of like going against the law, but that wasn't actually the Black Panthers. That was just a group that called themselves the Black Panthers.
Similar to how we saw like the anarchists going out and protesting, or not protesting, but kind of making a riot.
Rioting and
when the protesters were actually doing the protesting recently for the George Floyd situation. So that's interesting.
Yeah, very similar thing to that. And then another thing, and I mean, conspiracists probably knew this, but the federal government, they hired people to pose as members to gain insight into the group and cause internal conflict.
That makes sense.
Well, you mentioned a little bit of that from your article. And
my article, history.com. I wish.
That's not the article you wrote? All right. I didn't know. Okay. Yeah. Good point. And then another thing I never knew is that they were negotiating connections with China, as Huey Newton, a founding member of the party, met with Zhao Enlai, as told by an article on Radai. So I didn't know that they went over to China and
he was
forming connections. I didn't know about that. And it was because they both had the common kind of goal of fighting imperialism. So it was a very bonding thing that at the time U.S. didn't have great relations with China.
Pretty impressive.
Well, and I said at the time, but we know how that is right now.
Correct, yeah. So similar to some of those facts that are also shared, you can see the link on WokeNFree.com, including a link to Insider.com, which has a really in-depth article as to kind of things people did not know about the Black Panther Party. So the party opened liberation schools where children learned Black history and political science. They practiced penmanship by writing letters to incarcerated members. And at its height, the Black Panther Party had thousands of members in nearly 70 cities, which I said before, which is pretty cool and pretty impressive. Also, what was funny or interesting, I thought, was like kind of, if you ever thought about their uniform, like why did they decide the black beret and the black jacket? On Insider.com, they have an kind of quote from Stanley Nelson, director of the Black Panthers, Vanguard of the Revolution. Huey Newton and Bobby Seale chose the Panthers look because it was something that everybody had in their closet. They said, every young Black man has a black leather jacket or can get one or can borrow one if they can't buy one. He told Fresh Air's Terry Gross. Everybody could get a beret. Everybody could get some sunglasses and get the Panther look. The uniform was also calculated to be distinct from the suit and tie look favored more traditional civil rights activists. So that's kind of a little bit of a tidbit as to why the look of the Black Panthers came to be. So I thought that was interesting. Also, in 1969, the Black Panther Party began serving free hot breakfast to kids in Oakland, soliciting food from local grocers and consulting nutritionists on healthy and filling recipes. The schools and parents praised it, but the police and FBI spread rumors that the party was actually using the meals to indoctrinate or even poison kids.
Smart.
And then in 1975, just as the party's breakfast program were being shut down, the USDA permanently authorized the nationwide school breakfast program, which fed more than 14 million children in 20... I don't know if that year is correct. That can't be right.
Oh, yeah, that was before.
That's before that. So, but nonetheless, actually, so what's interesting is Insider.com is suggesting that the Black Panther Party created a free food system similar to what you're saying, that like they did something and then the government then indoctrinated that action or that initiative under their own system. And so if the party was so like out there, then why did
they adopt the same system?
That's
and
interesting.
Give no credit. Yeah.
Also, the article goes on to talking about they created the first nationwide testing and screening program for sickle cell anemia. The Panthers established a national screening program, training volunteers to go door to door in predominantly Black neighborhoods and give free finger stick tests. Follow-up care for anyone who tested positive was arranged with local hospitals. And that's super, like, super forward. Also, the article mentioned that they the Black Panther Party helped migrant workers organize against Safeway. So in early 1970s, Cesar Chavez United Farm Workers Union boycotted Safeway in California for selling grapes picked by non-union workers. Safeway, coincidentally, was one of the few markets to refuse to donate to the Panthers' free breakfast program. Seizing the opportunity, the party began ferrying shoppers to competing Lucky's supermarkets free of charge. The boycott was successful enough that at least one Safeway in Oakland was forced to close. So that's super interesting. They also, Insider.com goes on to suggest to share that the party taught self-defense classes to senior citizens. The Black Panthers launched Seniors Against a Fearful Environment, SAFE, after a group of older Oakland residents asked them to teach them self-defense to fend off muggers. The seniors had originally approached the police for help, but were told just walk close to the curb, according to the Atlanta Black Star. And so the SAFE program also provided free transportation so older locals could deposit their Social Security and pension checks.
All right.
So, yeah,
nice.
And there's even more that they even talk about the trip to China as well. But yeah, so, those were all like brand spanking new bits of information for me. So that's why I thought that would be really cool to share here with WokeNFree Nation, because who knew the Black Panthers did all of that amazement? I mean, that's something.
Yeah, they have a lot of things under their belt that we wouldn't know. They're not, we just always see that they're some type of militant group, but there's a lot more to the Black Panthers than we knew.
Definitely.
What should people take away from what the Black Panthers stood for?
Equality isn't reserved for a specific race, gender, creed, or age. As we talked about some of the phenomenal initiatives that the party not only initiated and created, but implemented, right? Because it's one thing to have an idea and it's quite another to actually execute. And they actually executed and they actually helped other people's lives, right? Whether the party was, nothing in life is without fault. Nothing in life is without needing of change. But here, I think in this conversation, the focus is really thinking about some of the positive things that they did. And that ultimately, there's a lot of negative stuff that you can find on the internet yourself. So we definitely were not looking to have a conversation to bash the group. I think having, generally not knowing kind of some of their own initiatives, I think is great insight for not only us, but anyone listening here. Because if you didn't know this, you now know. And now you can make your own judgment call about the party. And if you want to learn more, this is a good starting point to learn more. I think that's why I love our conversations, because it's usually just like a really great starting point to say, hey, I want to look into this more. I want to understand a little bit more. So that I think is some of the takeaways, that like you should listen to this and say, I want to know more. And then you should also listen to this and say, I need to have an open mind about all things that I'm educating myself on.
Definitely. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I think, there's just a big misconception about the Black Panthers that they were like a hate group that promoted supremacy over others. And that's just not the case. As we saw from some of our examples, they were a social justice group that stood up for the disenfranchised, and they believed in defending oneself against abuse and domestic terror. They weren't people just to sit back and turn the other cheek. They said, hey, we have the right to bear arms, so we will. It was definitely part of their belief, but it wasn't just the main thing. They didn't go around saying, hey, we're going to threaten you with this. They just said, we'll defend ourselves. And people didn't like that.
Even though they're Second Amendment lovers who
they definitely
are not categorized in a way that, you know.
They didn't get categorized like them. And even now, remember, we have people going out against the protesters armed with their rifles and like shooting protesters.
Shooting them,
and no one, and there's no big stance against them. There's no FBI investigation into these groups and militias.
Well, not that we publicly know. But
yeah. I mean, hopefully there are, but we don't publicly know about that. I mean, we don't know.
At least we've never witnessed that.
Yeah, maybe years from now we'll find out. But right as of now, it just seems like they're kind of like going about their business, doing what they want. There's no public kind of like dismissal of what they're doing.
Type of behavior.
Yeah, there's nothing's being said publicly about that's not, we don't stand for that. So I think that's messed up.
Some people do, like some
our leadership is doing that? Oh.
Not leadership, I would say other type of people in the media. Not everyone stands behind that type of behavior. There are people who are like, that's not acceptable. But it's
our leadership hasn't made that clear.
Leadership, there's a lot of things that could be said.
yeah, there's a lot. But I just think that's interesting that as of now, we have these people that are coming out against protesters armed, and the leadership isn't taking a stance on that. That's an interesting thing right here.
100%.
Compared to the Black Panthers that many people took stances against
the president
them.
at the time, and the FBI and all that.
I think they were just trying to make society equitable, and they were about empowerment for blacks who had little to no support at the time. They weren't trying to hurt anybody else. They actually just wanted to help people, which is a great thing to do. I think they had a good moral standing point, actually, which I wouldn't have known when I was a kid. I didn't, you heard Black Panther and you just thought, ooh, there were some tough people. Those are some you thought really tough and just do whatever they want to get what they want. But they were more. There's so much more than that. There's so much more to the Black Panthers.
The biggest takeaway is that people don't understand that there was so much more that they needed to learn and then be open-minded to hearing about them as well. Yeah,
and like I said, there was a lot of perpetrators in the group who were made to make them out as the bad guys.
Correct.
And people don't want to talk about it.
Infiltrated by
they were
people,
they were paid by federal government to do this.
That's interesting.
And the U.S. government's been caught doing this before for other groups, so it's like, they did it for the Black Panthers as well. We have to be just honest with ourselves that our government will fund certain things that go against parties that are actually doing good things for the community. They do that. It happens.
Well, there's different initiatives that are maybe more radical in nature and that do not necessarily stand like. All of us as American people or all of us in this country may or may not agree with that stance, but more, I think at least we should just be able to have a public conversation around that. Like, not just be like, oh, that happened. Like, but we should say, like, we should have accountability and we should
say what actually happened though too, right?
And what actually
not
happened.
Just say that was that group.
But there
was bad
might be like a national security issue with that. There's a lot of it's challenging. Life is very sticky, icky.
Oh yeah, but it's just good to know. Don't just have a one-sided view of these groups. Don't just say, that group evil. No, they should never exist. No, that's not what they were about. Let's get real, people.
Sure.
You are now listening to WokeNFree.
WokeNFree.
WokeNFree. WokeNFree.
WokeNFree.
A podcast about being real and honest.
Here we go, yo. So what's the scenario? It's scenario time, guys. Scenario 1. Farian heard that the Black Panthers used to carry concealed firearms whenever they had meetings. Does this mean the Black Panthers were a pro-violence militia?
That's an interesting question. So, especially living here in Arizona, I would say carrying around a concealed weapon is not necessarily mean whether you're for a party or not, or whether you're like pro-violence or not. It just means you have an affinity for guns. So,
an affinity for guns. All right.
Do you, boo? Live your best life in these streets, I guess. But yeah, you'd have to, and also you can't assume based on people's names if that's the type of association, affiliation you're going there. You have to ask people, and or if people say something, some type of rhetoric that speaks to a certain party or organization, then you could maybe start to ask questions or make deductions around that. But one person and just there's no tie. Like for me, at least that's not a clear deduction I would make. But what do you think?
Well, yeah, for me, this is crazy to ask. Just because you have a firearm on you, that doesn't mean you're pro-violence and you're part of a militia. What I would go by, did you use that gun? Like, how often do you pull out that gun and shoot somebody?
Yeah.
If you're shooting people on a daily basis, then yeah, there's something, I think you're pro-violence. I mean, you're okay with it, right?
Violating, like you're breaking laws. And
not necessarily. What if you're self-defending yourself every day?
Speak with an attorney.
Yeah, you can speak with an attorney.
Speaking with an attorney.
Yeah, but you can't. Yeah, but in terms of
that sounds really bizarre.
But I'm sure there's people that they pull out their gun more than once, though.
I don't know. Speak with an attorney. I don't know.
I'm just saying there might be people that did that,
like in the public streets. You mean?
Yeah,
wow.
Defending themselves though. All in self-defense.
Initiating things.
No, well, you can't. No, well, I mean, well, yeah, that's a stickier situation. I mean, I don't know how it's coming about, but either way, if this people are not pulling out their gun and shooting people, I don't think they're pro-violence. That's all that's my say.
Yeah, I think
a pro-violence person is somebody who goes to protest and shoots the protesters. That's pro-violence, which has happened only in recent times. So that to me is the pro-violence, not Black Panthers. They weren't doing that. They weren't going and shooting all these people.
But the problem is
that never happened. They had very few incidents
where people
very few
did maybe not act in the best intention of the party and maybe that was purposeful.
There were some perpetrators who just did stuff where it was like, that was not a Black Panther affiliate. Yeah. Well, you know what it's kind of like? It's like, let's say I'm a Democrat and then I get in a scuffle with somebody. Is that because I was a Democrat, or is that because I just did a scuffle on my own?
So we live in such an interesting time now where it seems
Who
like...
are you going to blame?
Wonder,
why do you blame
if
Democrat?
You wouldn't want to, but people are very tribalistic now in nature. And so, for instance, if you continuously see one political party in media being like really hyped up and aggressive to another, maybe there becomes this this association in people's minds that like, oh, that party tends to do
they tend
X.
towards the violence.
But I don't know why people are, I guess it's just that indoctrination, because certain media outlets are
media will do that because they're reporting
one party over another. So then,
but just think of it. What the media does, they love to paint a picture of this person in their story. So they're going to say, yes, there was this young Black Democrat who was a part of the Black Panthers. Like they would say something like that compared to, this person was prone to violence, you know. They won't tell you.
Instead of focusing on the facts, they're like painting a narrative.
Yeah, they paint their own narratives, and it's like, oh yeah, you know, this was part of their background. Maybe that's everybody in that background has the same views. No, that's not what the Black Panthers were about. No. Scenario 2. Quavina is a college student that caught wind of a new group that said they were the resurrection of the true Black Panther Party. She got shivers thinking that this group may cause civil unrest on her campus because of their pro-Black mantra. Is it possible to be pro-Black and not racist?
What an interesting and great question. Yeah, so we definitely, I think, plan to talk about the fact that you can love your race and not be anti-other races on the show. So that's definitely to come. In this scenario, you know... Again, so her frame of reference here is that she just, I guess, is maybe thinking on maybe some of the media or other types of narrative of what Black Panthers...
The fairy tales she's heard.
Of what she's heard, and is kind of... is unnerved by that and is thinking, wow, is this going to be an issue? And so it needs to be said that, yeah, you can be... for your race and love being a Black person and love your Black community, and that not mean that is the antithesis and or hatred and or disdain and or attack of others. To be pro-Black is to be pro-Black. It is not in any way have anything to do with anyone else. As the same way you would say for any other community, if someone was pro-Native American, doesn't mean they're in any way talking about anything else. They're just saying, I love my people. You can love your people and love your culture and love your community without harming and or hurting and or wanting bad intentions for anyone else. So this person needs to open up their minds to the idea that the party starting could be for the empowerment of the Black people present, which is not to the antithesis and or harm of any other community, but just to ensure that Black people feel represented on campus, that the Black people feel like they have a voice, and that if they are disenfranchised in any way or form, that is appropriately addressed by this community.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's jumping the gun to just think that she's going off the past things that she's heard of the Black Panther Party and assuming that the same things are going to happen in today's day and age. I don't know. I mean, if a new Black Panther Party came up today, I think right now would actually not be the worst time, to be honest. I think they could actually do pretty well now.
I saw something about that but they were saying that it was like a hate group and So
oh, they were already trying to put
well, it might be. I'm not sure the new party might be. I'd have. Well,
we don't know. Research. They may just be.
So I saw rhetoric saying that it is a hate group, but I'd have to do more research.
But that was, I mean,
whether it is,
because it's like who was saying that? It was it coming from a conservative side of the field?
It's more to know on it.
Because that's
if anyone has information on that, guys, put that in the comments, please, because if you want to, kind of talk about the new age Black Panther Party, if that is a conversation people want to have, put it in the comments.
Yeah, and about being pro-Black and not racist. Yeah, I definitely agree. Just because you're pro, and I don't even want to think, I mean, races are fake, so I want to go beyond that and just say, like, pro-culture. So it's like, I love my culture. That doesn't mean I hate yours. Like, I can see your culture. I can bring in parts of your culture, but I don't hate yours. I just love mine a lot. Like, that's fine. I'm promoting mine. I'm not trying to destroy yours. So don't worry about that. I'm not. So now if I try to do something where I said mine is supreme.
Yeah,
now that's a mistake. To say mine should only exist. No, any of those words that's when you get into trouble.
That's hatred.
Yeah, because now you're trying to say why you're better than another. And this is totally subjective.
To us, but it's similar to saying
it's totally
it's similar
subjective
conversation or line of thinking with if you're pro women, right? That means you have to be anti men.
Yeah, people think that too.
True.
Yeah,
you can love the community that you're in with and apart, separate from any other feelings you have on anything else or anyone else. Like,
so you can be a feminist and not be anti-manonistic.
Yeah, manonistic. Let's not even take ourselves seriously at all.
Well, we do. There's no real term for it, but that at least kind of goes hand in hand.
Men have everything, but you now need something else.
Well, you just need like a yin to your yang.
Yeah.
You gotta have like some kind of. It's a balance.
The universe isn't enough, eh?
No. Well, the universe is made for all. The universe is all and everything.
Oh, it would be good to see how that gets played out.
Yeah. Well, it's playing out as we speak.
Well, things need to change.
Change takes time. People are impatient.
Who you telling?
It's the real truth.
Choir in these streets.
Yeah, it's a hard truth. Yeah, most people, they say, we haven't seen enough change. Well, do you know the people has not been around that long? We have not. I know people will say maybe it's years and years.
It seems like it should be moving a bit faster at this stage of the game. But maybe that is assumptive expectation.
Because our technology is moving faster than our social progress.
Exactly.
If you think about it like that. Our technology moves a lot faster.
Such incredible technological enhancements in our society, yet socially, we're not that far off from throwing rocks at each other. So...
Nice.
It's just like, ¿qué pasó? Like, what happened?
Yeah.
It seems very confusing.
Definitely. Scenario 3. Lacere's grandfather was part of the Black Panther Party, which inspired Lacere to join the Black Lives Movement. A few weeks later, she was contacted by federal agents that told her not to attend a political national convention as she would be labeled a black identity extremist and possibly detained for questioning. Should Lacere quit BLM and just focus on her day job because of these new threats?
Oh, wow. That's a really profound question. So Lacere's grandfather was a part of the Black Panthers, and then that inspired Lacere to join the Black Lives Matter movement, and then she was contacted, and this is a real contact, not like a fake person that was
this is definitely real federal agents, not fake.
Saying that this person is going to be identified as an extremist and probably black nationalist or something like that, and possibly her career and life consequences could be quite severe. What should Lasera do? I guess at this moment, Lasera is going to have to weigh the consequence. How much does it matter to this person to move forward with the social justice activity that Lasera wants to do comparatively to the impact on that person's, on Lasera's career, on Lasera's life? Every choice you make in life has a consequence, good or bad. And again, good and bad are subjective terms. It's all really just contrast, right? So Lasera has to make that decision. My decision I would tend to stay more, given how I grew up and my lifestyle choices, I would choose to keep the job and identify alternative methods of social activism. But that's just because I also am a Virgo and I'm a rule follower. And
so you're not going to attend the national convention.
Yeah,
like they said, they told you not to do it and you said, okay.
Run down the street.
So you pick up the phone and they're like, hey, you can't attend this. We're going to label you. You'd be like, oh yes, I have you officers. Yes, I will not be attending that. I will be going right back to my day job. You'd have yourself a fine day, sir. And then you hang up the phone. You're like, yes, I have avoided a conflict and I'm doing well.
Well, not that I've avoided a conflict, but that, again, do I want to deal with it's a challenging situation because you'd also have to look into, did you collect the federal agents' information and did you verify that the people speaking to you were not like
you can do
fake
all that,
and that they were real? And if they were real and this was a legitimate inquiry saying to you or warning telling you kind of your life is about to go down a whole new brick of roads that you might not want, you have to make that decision. Not everyone's Malcolm X, right? Not everyone
That's true.
is guns blazing. I think for me, I like to live between the line of wanting to pursue certain lifestyle decisions and start to build a platform for myself where if traditionalism isn't necessary at some point in my life, cool. But it depends on where Lasera is in that person's life. Like, that's a challenging question. That's something that can be debated for hours, really.
Well, for me, this is no debate, but it's going to be something that you don't like. And it's because her grandfather was part of the Black Panther Party. I think that obligates her to actually continue on her movement because it's kind of like the legacy. She got to keep it going. I know you don't. Yeah, I know you don't prescribe by that.
That's apples and peaches.
But it's kind of like, let's say the grandfather instilled in her like all this knowledge. She can't just let that knowledge die. She can use that in the new party.
Can write a book.
No, she's got to be in it.
Trainings. She can do.
She can't. She's got to be in it to win it. She got to be full in it.
She can do quite a bit of things. She can monetize the content. She can have a wildly successful blog. She can.
Well, you know what I would say, but I know you would hate it.
Social media, yeah.
But I don't think you would like this. But I would think that she should put this on social media that she was contacted.
So it depends on what's been
yes, I know. I know you don't like that. I would want her to say it.
Shared,
I want her to let people know what's happening to her and that she's being challenged.
You really have to think about the consequences.
And she should talk with a lawyer too, though.
Correct. I think that's
the first
counsel
step
is helpful.
To be honest, like I would say, I would recommend her that.
Speak with
first.
a civil rights attorney. See what your rights
especially
are.
nowadays.
Identify, like I said, definitely verify the callers and get their contact information. Whenever someone represents a part of the government, get their information and verify that who you think you're speaking to is who you think you're speaking to. It's a tricky, like I said, that's a tricky question. But obligations, that part I disagree. I think
I know you would disagree.
You can come from a lineage of doing whatever. You are your own person and you have to make your own decisions. And just because, 10 generations before you did something doesn't mean you have to go and do that. Like that's, I don't know.
Well, not 10 generations, but a couple generations.
You have to be careful about putting that type of pressure on people because it's not fair to that person at the end of the line who's like, you know what? I don't want to do this. What do you?
But you're the continuation of your old generations into the future, so you need to keep that spirit alive.
And you can do that in books and in blogs and in social media and in trainings, and you can find a way. You can find a way, but you don't have to make someone, you don't have to obligate someone to, it's the same thing, right? I come from a family of doctors, and this person's
you don't
like,
have to be a doctor.
well, I just felt like being a street artist. You know, like, that's so unfair to tell someone that they can't live their dreams.
Can, but they should draw hearts, and they should draw lungs, and they should draw real human anatomy, and then that'd be fine for the
on
doctors.
their patients as they are performing. I mean,
well, if the patients are the canvases, then yeah.
Nice.
I mean, I'm just saying they can be a street artist and just draw anatomy, draw organs. That's fine. You're kind of doing medical.
You're not a doctor if you're drawing hearts.
But if you're drawing like realistic looking versions,
you're still not an MD.
Yeah, but at least it's in the same vein. I say.
Definitely not.
It's not, even if they draw veins on the heart. Come on.
I know.
You don't take it?
Those are separate.
All right, you don't take it. An artist that draws medical
is not
art.
an MD.
Not an MD, but something even greater.
I would definitely not address that statement.
Well, you know why? Because there's the medical art therapy kind of thing you can do.
There's art therapy.
Yeah, see?
But again, art therapists are not, surgeons. Those are different
not surgeons,
career paths.
but I think, can they be doctors? I think they can get a doctorate in art therapy.
You'd have to look into all of that. Yeah, I'm not sure on the accreditation that's required. But all I'm suggesting, and you're laughing, so you understand that, like,
the audience is laughing?
Yeah, exactly. I'm hearing them right now.
You hear them in your head. You're like, I hear them. I hear all the accolades right now.
Correct. I'm ready for Miami. Thank you.
Nice. That's good.
I know my speech will be fire. That's all I know.
Well, yeah, knowing you.
I know my speech.
You've been practicing it with your monologues.
I've been practicing it my entire life. I know it'll be fire without a single
Is that what it's all about?
Correct. It's challenging to make someone feel obligated to live a life just because of their history. That's all I'm going to say on that.
But I'm giving you freedom in terms of you don't have to do one specific career, but you just got to kind of keep true to your heritage. That's what I say. Just keep that heritage alive.
I guess we have to agree to disagree.
I know, I knew you wouldn't go for it, but I go for it. I just think
people have to be free. I just think it's too much. People put so much pressure on people, and it just seems so unfair. And I just think there has to be another way. I think that people have a right to determine who they are before this preconceived notion of who they should be based on where they come from.
So you're saying all right. So you're saying, let's say, even a president's son can become a turf grass major.
Why are you being so judgmental?
No, I'm not being. I'm just saying, like, just for one thing.
Again, if that's their dream, then yes, that's their dream.
So that's what they decided to do.
To study turf grass.
They said how we can improve the fields of all the...
You don't know what's going to happen to that. For all we know, that person's going to come up with the grass that's going to allow us to live on Mars because we're going to have the perfect turf grass there. Like, you never know what's going to happen. And I just think that
what they should do.
But to suggest that, my father was president, so I have to go study political science, and I have to go to law school, and then I need to go run for senator and
not necessarily all that.
And then be president at 64.
Not necessarily all that.
Like, what? What if
they can become a community leader or something?
He wanted to be, a drag queen show host or something. Like, do you live your best life always? And it doesn't matter what the history dictates before you, because you are your unique person, and we have to be true to ourselves.
Even when you have a legacy.
Your legacy
put that
is
in the trash bin.
Legacy. It's not in the trash bin. That's your legacy. You'll never disavow that. Like, it is what it is. Like, but it doesn't mean that you're obligated to continue it. That's what I'm suggesting. That it can stop at you. It doesn't have to continue through you. Because guess what? Maybe you don't want it, but then you decide to have a child, and that child wants it, and it continues that way. Like, but you can't say that. I mean, in your history, in your life, do you feel you follow through on your legacies?
I don't know enough of my... well, technically, yeah. I mean, only immediately, but I don't know enough of my, super
family
past
history,
legacy. Yeah, I can't go back 3 generations and know, all right, that's what they were doing, so I should do this.
Being African American.
Yeah.
Not knowing where you come from. It's such a challenging question.
Yeah, that's what makes it a little tougher. It's hard to have that legacy, because then maybe I would have done the other stuff. I don't know. I might have been like a lighting expert figuring out what's the perfect lighting for different rooms. I don't know.
Oh, so you're not taking this conversation seriously at all.
Why are you saying that? I'm just telling you about different ways you can go. I mean, I could have been a political activist too, if you want to say that. I don't think that was part of my legacy, but it could have been.
Yes, I see it now.
The man formerly known as K.
Oh,
that's what I would be.
Game over. That's what I say.
That would be my political name.
Game over.
Well, no, that would be my rap name, probably.
100%. 100%. Oh my goodness. Thank God. We are at the time again.
Thank the universe? Huh? Alright, if you say so.
Jesus.
Oh.
We're here at the time. It's coming to the end of our 161st episode of Woke and Free. What was that, a ritual?
No, that was the self-defense voice.
Yeah.
It's either you hear that sounds kind of like tough and like you can't mess with this person in the streets.
If you have to explain that the voice sounds tough, it's not tough.
Oh, it's not? I mean, I'm trying to like improve the voice acting a little bit.
Oh, okay. Each and every time, eh?
No, not each and every time. Definitely not. But this was one of the times. One of the few times.
Yeah. Okay. Keep
tried.
Going.
I mean, that's pretty close, though. I mean, it's getting there.
Yeah. Love the ego. Nice.
It's good progress. Good progress.
According to you, in your mind, yeah.
From self-judging, yes. That's one of the best judges. Self.
Correct.
See?
This was quite the
Know
episode.
thyself.
Oh, God help me.
Yes.
This was quite the episode discussing who were the Black Panthers. Will we leave you hanging for what our next episode will be about? Drum roll, please.
On our next episode, we will be discussing, is coffee good or bad for your health? Make sure you follow us on social media to follow along in the conversation. And make sure you tune in next week for Woke and Free Wednesday to join the conversation at WokeNFree.com.
If you'd like to be a guest on the show, please submit a topic for an upcoming episode. Right now, we're definitely scheduling into 2021. 2020 is pretty much wrapped up, guys. I know that sounds scary to hear, but it just is. Now, where do you go? Our contact us page at WokeNFree.com. That is WokenFree.com. I've definitely been pinged on social, hitting me up. People's trying to slide into the DM, all that good jazz. Go to the contact us page at WokenFree.com and submit your query there. When it comes to social media, you can always find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Pinterest, TikTok, YouTube, everywhere, right? All at Woke and Free, which is super, super exciting. And then, of course, for collaborations, where do you go? It gets redundant. Contact us page at WokenFree.com.
If you didn't already subscribe, please do, share the episode, and make sure you come back to join the conversation every Wednesday for Woke and Free Wednesdays. Remember, Woke and Free is more than a podcast, it is a way of life. Until next time.
Stay strong, y'all.